Shalom everyone and Shavua Tov. I'm Serach. Listen guys, we're talking about some pretty serious things. We're going to be getting into some pretty heavy topics. And the point of being here is that while these events are well known within Eretz Israel, it's not known in the exile. And so a lot of people are hearing these stories for the first time coming from anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, anti-Semitics, anti-Jew, whatever group you want to put these people in. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They're hearing it for the first time from them, and then either it's shocking them to their core to find out that some of these things happened, or they lie by omission because they just want to defend their people and they don't know that these things actually happened. And so we just really need to get out ahead of the narrative, for one, and for two, there are two sides to this story. These stories are two sides, 2 points of views. And so, you know, in the spirit of Yehuda himself, to say, yeah, this happened, this is how we're going to fix it, and this is how we're going to move on. In the spirit of David HaMelech, yeah, this happened, this is how we're going to fix it, and this is how we're going to move on. And we're not going to let it bring us down, and we're not going to let these people spin the narrative, right? We're not going to let them control the story. So we're going to be talking today about Operation Magic Carpet, in which we rescued the Yemenite Jews. And it's going to be very tough next couple of episodes, just because these are very tough topics, in particular with the Yemenite Jews. So what was going on in the state of Israel leading up to Operation Magic Carpet? After World War II, the British Mandate for Palestine, established in 1920 under the League of Nations, was under increasing pressure due to escalating tensions between Jewish and Arab communities in the region. The Holocaust had intensified Jewish immigration to Palestine as survivors sought refuge, but British restrictions on immigration led to conflict with Zionist groups. On November 29, 1949, the United Nations General Assembly passed a Resolution 181 proposing that the partition of Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states with Jerusalem under international administration. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan, but the Arab leadership rejected it, leading to heightened violence. How this looks and feels to me, and maybe it's just me, is like they were playing house with us. Oh, here are my Jewish dolls, and here are my Arab dolls, and they don't get along, so we're just going to, put a line down the bedroom, and this will be the Jewish side, and this will be the Arab side, and this will solve all the problems. I just really feel like this is how they saw us, and still see us. In the British colony of Aden near Yemen, the UN partition plan triggered anti-Jewish riots in December 1947, killing over 70 Jews and destroying Jewish property, which destabilized the Yemenite Jewish community and set the stage for their later immigration. On May 14, 1948, Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, declared the establishment of the State of Israel as the British Mandate ended. The next day, neighboring states invaded, launching the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, known in Israel as the War of Independence. The war was a defining moment for Israel as it fought for survival against multiple fronts. By the time agreements were signed in 1949, Israel had secured more territory than the UN partition plan had allocated, though at high cost. Approximately 6,000 Israelis were killed, and the economy was strained. The war also led to the displacement of approximately 700,000 Palestinian Arabs, while Jewish communities in Arab countries faced increased persecution, prompting immigration to Israel. The establishment of Israel fulfilled the Zionist vision of a Jewish homeland, prompting a wave of Jewish immigration from Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Between 1948 and 1951, Israel was over 600,000 immigrants, doubling its Jewish population. Many were Holocaust survivors or Jews fleeing persecution in Arab countries. 600,000, that magic number, according to Kabbalah, this is the number of original Jewish souls. This influx strained Israel's limited resources. The fledgling state faced housing shortages, food rationing, and inadequate infrastructure. Many immigrants were housed in temporary tent camps where conditions were harsh and infant mortality rates were high, particularly for Yemenite Jews. The establishment of Israel in 1948 led to increased hostility towards Jewish communities in Arab countries. In Yemen, Jews lived for over 2,000 years, possibly dating back to the 1st century CE, but faced systemic discrimination as dhimmis and periodic persecution, especially under Zaidi rule. After 1948, conditions worsened. In Yemen, the 1947 Eden riots and accusations of Jewish involvement in local incidents led to economic paralysis and violence against Jews. In May 1949, Yemen's Imam Yahya, who previously restricted Jewish immigration in 1924, agreed to allow Jews to leave, provided they sold their property first. This policy change, despite Arab League objections, enabled Operation Magic Carpet. Zionism, the movement for Jewish self-determination in the land of Israel, was a driving force behind Israel's immigration policies. The Jewish Agency sent emissaries to Yemen in 1949 to assess the Jewish community's desire to immigrate. Rambam reported that strong religious and messianic yearning to return to Israel, rooted in Yemenite Jewish beliefs about redemption and the Messiah's arrival. Many Yemenite Jews believed that returning to Israel was tied to divine prophecy, citing biblical passages like Exodus 19:4 and Isaiah 40:31. These beliefs were reinforced during the operation with planes painted with eagles symbols to ease fears of flying. So they say that the Jewish communities that stayed closer to the land of Israel, such as Syria and Yemen, better preserved the traditions. They lost a lot less. One, due to proximity to the land of Israel itself. Two, due to the fact that while, yes, idol worship does exist in Arab countries, it's less prominent, okay? Islam in and of itself is not inherently idol worship, and so they weren't as influenced by paganism, unlike the European Jews, where paganism was rampant all throughout Europe. And so as a result, these communities could have been quite naive and overly trusting about certain narratives that were going to be pushed onto them to get them to return to the land of Israel. And when they tell you personally these stories, whether they experienced it themselves or whether it was passed down from family members, it has these tones to it, right? Of we were naive, we were trusting, and this is what happened to us. And so Magic Carpet was an operation that was made to rescue the Yemenite Jews and rising tensions. Operation Magic Carpet was a large-scale airlift operation that brought approximately 49,000 Yemenite Jews to the newly established state of Israel, officially named Operation on Wings of Eagles. It was a response to worsening conditions for Jews in Yemen and Aden, exacerbated by anti-Jewish violence and economic hardship following Israel's establishment in 1948. Yemen's Jews, possibly dating back to the 1st century CE, faced systemic discrimination as Dhimmis under Islamic rule. By 1948, about 55,000 Jews lived in Yemen, 8,000 in Aden. The 1947 UN partition plan and Israel's 1948 establishment sparked anti-Jewish riots in Aden, killing over 70 Jews and destroying property. Most Jews traveled from Yemen to Aden, often on foot or by donkey through hazardous routes. An estimated 850 died en route due to exhaustion, disease, or attacks. British and American planes, including Alaska Airlines DC-4s and C-46, flew from Aden to Israel's Lod Airport, now Ben Gurion. Flights often carried double the normal passenger load, with children seated on floors to maximize capacity. Pilots flew grueling schedules over enemy territory, keeping the operation secret to avoid sabotage. Planes were painted with eagle symbols to comfort Yemenite Jews, many whom have never flown and feared the iron birds. Many Yemenite Jews arrived malnourished, ill, or traumatized from the journey. Israel, still recovering from the 1948 War of Independence, struggled to absorb the influx. Immigrants were often placed in tents with poor conditions, leading to high infant mortality. By 1950, only about 3,000 Jews remained in Yemen. So next week we're going to be talking about these camps, okay? Now I want everyone just to keep in mind that the Jews who came from Arab countries were familiar and comfortable with a completely different set of rules than the Ashkenazi Jews who came and dominated in the early state of Israel, right? All of the bureaucracy, all of the paperwork, the camps, think Ellis Island, were things that they were very familiar with and comfortable with. So was it exactly malicious intent, or did they just think that's what you do in a society, right? They were unable to leave the exile behind. Did people who saw more clearly not speak up? Did they just accept what the Ashkenazi Jews were doing? Did they speak up? Did they speak up and say these camps are inhumane, bureaucracy is inhumane, bureaucracy is dehumanizing? Did they scream it in their faces and it simply fell on deaf ears? What exactly happened at these camps? We'll talk about it next week.